शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम् तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम् उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुं त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम् ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिं समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात् स ब्रह्मा स शिवः सेन्द्रः सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट् स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमाः स एव सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यं सनातनम् ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि सम्पश्यन् ब्रह्म परमं याति नान्येन हेतुना आत्मानमरणिं कृत्वा प्रणवं चोत्तरारणिम् ज्ञाननिर्मथनाभ्यासात् पाशं दहति पण्डितः स एव माया परिमोहितात्मा शरीरमास्थाय करोति सर्वम् स्त्रियन्नपानादिविचित्रभोगैः स एव जाग्रत् परितृप्तिमेति स्वप्ने सजीवः सुखदुःखभोक्ता स्वमायया कल्पितविश्वलोके सुषुप्तिकाले सकले विलीने तमोभिभूतः सुखरूपमेति पुनश्च जन्मान्तरकर्मयोगात् स एव जीवः स्वपिति प्रबुद्धः पुरत्रये क्रीडति यश्च जीवस्ततस्तु जातं सकलं विचित्रम् आधारमानन्दमखण्डबोधं यस्मिन् लयं याति पुरत्रयं च एतस्माज्जायते प्राणो मनः सर्वेन्द्रियाणि च खं वायुर्ज्योतिरापः पृथिवी विश्वस्य धारिणी।
So mantra 5 talked about the procedural details for meditation. Mantra 6 onwards to mantra 11 forms the second topic of the Upanishad, which talks about the Brahman in the manifest and unmanifest form. Mantra 6 is talking about the Brahman in the unmanifest form. Mantra 7 talks about the Brahman with a form, which is worshipped in the form of Lord Shiva. These can be taken as pointers for contemplation and meditation. So we will chant mantra 6 twice.
अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम् तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम् अचिन्त्यमव्यक्तमनन्तरूपं शिवं प्रशान्तममृतं ब्रह्मयोनिम् तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकं विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्.
Inconceivable, unmanifest, of infinite forms, auspicious, perfectly calm, immortal, womb of Brahma, creator, also without beginning, middle and end, one, all-pervading, knowledge-bliss, formless, wonderful. We said that meditation can be done upon the reality, and if you are able to conceive the self in the unmanifest form, that is indeed very great. Very tough. It is very tough, but those who are able to do it, it is a great blessing. It's a great gift. Now, but this mantra gives us the pointers by which we can contemplate upon the reality. Further, that contemplation can be directed towards meditation. That which is without a form, that which is the unmanifest reality, it is very difficult to capture in thoughts. It is very difficult to think about it. Intellectually, we try to understand that and we are trying to direct our thoughts towards that. Now, how to do it? This is what we were discussing in the last class. So, various pointers are given in the Upanishadic literature towards this. Pointers are not exact definitions because it cannot be captured in any definition. If anything can be captured in definition, it ceases to be what the supreme reality is. So, it cannot be captured. But we see that pointers working in geometry, like how to fix a point which is 5 centimeters from one point and 2 centimeters from another point, etc. You can draw an arc. But again, geometry is a limited example because there you can fix that point. But here the point is not fixed. But various angles are given by which your thoughts are directed towards that, and slowly it gets focused into that direction in such a way that you cannot escape contemplating about the reality. So pointers are given from various angles to think about that supreme reality only. Even with reference to its manifestation in the world, it is difficult to capture. But to think about it in the unmanifest form is much more difficult. So therefore, these pointers have to be taken and deeply contemplated upon. That is why any person with mathematical background and with a scientific temper, he will be able to relate to this little more easier than those who are not having that background. It is nothing to do with a person who has studied mathematics, etc. It is the precision with which a person is able to think. So mathematics is the closest to science towards the spirituality. Plato says that in order to enter his classroom, one must know mathematics, otherwise they are not allowed. So in that sense, it's a very close subject to Vedanta. As far as the terrestrial knowledge is concerned, the precise subject is mathematics. Science is when you apply that mathematics and you understand the laws, that is science. That is why we gave the example that even in the terrestrial realm, in order to expand your imagination, you must know mathematics. Suppose you say that we gave this example of folding a paper. So if you fold a paper 32 times and its thickness increases every time you fold, after 32 times, how long it can be? You can calculate it with mathematics. But practically, it cannot be folded. Practically, the paper can be folded only 5-6 times or maximum 7 times if you press it very hard. Otherwise, it cannot be folded more than 7 times. But mathematics takes to a realm where you can imagine. If you fold it that much, how narrow that paper will be and how high that paper will be, you can imagine. So, for you to expand your imagination, you need that calculation according to maths. Now, think about a subject which is more subtler than maths. Think about the precision which is more precise than mathematics. That is Vedanta. So therefore, these pointers have to be contemplated like that. But remember one thing, that finally if you say that I have to capture it within my intellect, it is not possible. That is why he starts with the very first term, achintyam. Achintyam means it is inconceivable. Forget the idea of capturing this within your intellect. It is just not possible. Again, most of these pointers are also directly not understandable. We can understand it from the relative experiences of ours in the world, and then you try to project it to infinity. That's all. So it is a question of leaving it at some point of time, and you begin to really wonder about it. So intellect and with the emotions of the mind can take you up to certain points, beyond which you have to leave that behind and go further. That is the attempt. That is why it has been constructed that way, or it came that way, we don't know. The first word in this mantra is achintyam. The last word in this mantra is adbhutam. Adbhutam means wonderful. You have to leave it at that. It is wonderful. Okay. Achintyam means inconceivable. Inconceivable is beyond your intellect. We have to strongly keep this pointer again and again, because at any point you say that I am not able to understand, probably you are on the right track, because you cannot understand. You cannot capture it in the intellect. It is inconceivable. It cannot be. Thought itself is a product and it has its own limitations as far as our functioning is concerned. So that which is having that limitation cannot capture this inconceivable. So it remains inconceivable. Avyaktam. Avyaktam is unmanifest. Vyaktam or manifest is something which is experienceable, particularly with reference to your perception. What is seen in the universe is Vyaktam. Vyaktam means it is manifest. So you can experience it with your senses. You can see it, you can touch it, or you can hear it. All this is Vyaktam. Vyaktam is that which is manifest, which is experienceable by an instrument. Unmanifest is that which is not experienceable by your equipments. You can take here the subtle equipments of mind and intellect also, but since the term achintyam is given, we can interpret it from the point of view of perception. So unmanifest is that which is beyond your perception. Achintyam is that which is beyond our intellect. And then he says Ananta Rupam. Ananta Rupam means, Ananta means infinite. Anta means end. Ananta means infinite, of infinite forms. This is a very interesting term. The whole idea we said about these terms is to take us towards that reality, towards that supreme self, which is the substratum. The moment we say something has infinite forms, what should strike us is that which can sort of take a form in any way, in its origin actually cannot have any form. See, for example, let us take a parallel with reference to light. You would have done this experiment maybe in school also, that when the light passes through the prism, it diverges into 7 Vibgoric colors, which is in a spectrum. Now, what is so colorful? This 7 Vibgoric colors, you take it to further expand to all other combinations of colors are also from this only. So, in other words, some light goes through a prism and it goes into sort of any number of colors on the other side. If, let us say, it comes out as red, and if it comes out as blue also, and it comes out as green also, the original cannot be either red or green or blue. If the original is red, the product can be red or further products of red only. It cannot be anything other than red. If the original product is blue, it can be only blue. Similarly, it can be only green if the original product is green. It is like that it is. But if the original product, you say, can take any color, that means the origin must be devoid of any color. But devoid of any color doesn't mean that nothing is there. Light is there. Light is there, but the property of not having any color in the pure light is also there. That which is not having any color has this capacity to manifest as any color. This is a magic. This is magic. As far as magic means, this we don't understand how it happens, but it happens. See, science can explain how the light comes and how it passes through the prism and what are the angles it will come and what are the colors it will come. All those things it can say. But why this really happens like this, that probably science or any intellect cannot say. So that is where the difference between age of scientific temper and the age of contemplation is. In the age of scientific temper, we understand what are the laws, how they function. You can say that the law of gravity is a law and we discover it. And there is a constant factor to it that it is attracted to, any object is attracted to Earth at a certain rate. 9.8 meter per second square is the rate. With science we establish this, and it's a great discovery and it's a wonderful thing even if you find it. And you experiment and find it, it is really nice. But nobody can probably answer as to why it is fixed at 9.8. Why not 11.8? Why not 7.8? With reference to Earth's gravitational force. Who fixed it at that? That we do not know. So we can understand as to certain scientific things, how it can happen in the world from our experimentation, from our discovery, from our even contemplation of the nature, etc. And then it strikes our intellect, you can understand. But why is it happening like this, we really do not know, or nobody can really know. But it is happening like that. That is a fact. So therefore, that which is manifesting itself has many colors. We see that the origin can be there without any color. Exactly like that. That which is manifest as infinite forms has to have no form by itself. That is why in this same mantra, in the second line towards the last, he says Arupam. So these two words are given in the same mantra. It's a deep subject for our contemplation. How can that which have a Ananta Rupa can be Arupa also? In fact, that is the thing that is possible. That which is Ananta Rupa, possibility of infinite forms. Even here he doesn't say 10,000 forms or 1 million forms. It is Ananta Rupa. Anantarupa means as though we see that, let us take even this small earth. When I say small earth, when compared to the universe, earth is not even a speck of a dust. So in this earth itself, which we consider from calculations that it is a finite entity in terms of its, its diameter, its all other measurements, etc. Where in Earth is this country called India, and where in India is the city called Kolkata, etc. You tone it down and down. Actually, it is going into absurd nothingness. We are going into. But in this small room that we are sitting, if you say that how many forms are there, of course we can count the number of people here who are sitting and say the number. But you are just confining yourself just to the human forms that are here. If you go into the other forms that are not visible for our eyes, but probably with microscope you can see. In one corner of this room there can be many germs and other bacteria which are quite invisible. All that is also is the manifestation of the same self only. So if you take like that, in each and every smallest finite thing, there is an infinite thing. Even within your own body, it is said that there are so many creatures that are parallelly living. They are born and dying out of you, and constantly this is happening. It is just you consider yourself as one entity, which is not so. As far as you are concerned, probably you are a Vishwarupa for that creature. It is there. All that is actually infinite forms, and all this form is nothing but the manifestation of the same Brahman only. Therefore, and this we are talking about a very small conceivable thing as an example. You think in terms of the entire earth, then you go beyond, you do not know what all is there. Each and everything is nothing but the manifestation of that Supreme Brahman. So whatever you see as name and form here is nothing but that manifestation of Supreme Brahman only, and it is infinite in its quantum. It is not quantifiable. That is the point. Not only that, from that point of view, it is Ananta Rupam. In next mantra, as I said, he is going to talk about the supreme reality in the form of Lord Shiva as a point of contemplation or meditation. So various gods and goddesses that we have in Hinduism, they are also manifestation of the supreme reality only. And each and every god has a particular name, particular form for your conception. For your conception it is there. Shiva also in the form of Linga, in the form of Nataraja, various forms it is there. And he is giving a particular form for meditation. Now I ask you, how many forms of the Lord can you really conceive like that when you take into consideration the different types of minds, the different types of thought flows that each and everybody has? In Hindu scriptures, they talk about 330 million, something like that. Is a number that is given. It's one way of interpretation. Okay, so that is also a big number. Actually, such a big number is given to make us understand that it cannot be really restricted. You can conceive of a form in whichever way it is coming to your mind. That is manifestation of Brahman only. See, there are various ways in which by which we are asked to meditate upon reality. Scriptures have sanctioned this. All this is fine. It is helping us. And that form can be a Ganesha form, that can be a Durga or a Kali or a Shakti or Kartikeya or Lord Ayyappa, any form. If you are inspired by any form, that form for that person is not confined to that form only, he is able to think of that infinite reality through that form. So even though the aid is a finite form, the conception is the infinite reality. Suppose you ask him who for him this Lord Ganesha is. It is not we will say Ganesha is here is such and such height and such weight. No. It is that infinite reality only. Ganesha is the supreme reality. Now, is it that number of forms that is given in our scriptures or given in all the Puranas, Itihasas and other masters who have also prescribed from time to time, can you count that and restrict it to a certain number? That also cannot be done. Because based on which if you sit in the seat of meditation and if you are able to conceive it in any form that is inspirational for you, that is also Brahman only. So that way if you see that how many way it can manifest itself, it is literally infinite. And all that infinite forms that is coming, whether it is manifest outside in the world, whether it is in a temple, whether it is in your puja room or whether it is in your mind, all are nothing but the manifestation of that one unmanifest reality only. So Ananta Rupam can be taken as that which is of infinite forms. And this is in one way indicated in Vishwarupa Darshana in the 11th chapter of Gita, where when Arjuna asks Krishna to show that form, it is just not one form he is showing, it is an evolving picture where you see first Brahma comes, then Vishnu comes, then Shiva comes, and within that all other gods and goddesses, everybody is there. So in other words, there is no end to such a visualization. So it is actually depicting the infinite form. So infinite form can be taken as the universe itself, and from the point of view of sadhana, if you are able to conceive the form of the reality also, that is again infinite form. Achintyam, Avyaktam, Anantarupam. These three words also can be taken to indicate a great concept that we talk about in Vedanta as Kshara, Akshara and Uttama Purusha in the Gita, which is the supreme reality is that which is the known manifest universe, Anantarupam. The supreme reality is the substratum which supports the manifest universe, which is the unmanifest reality, which is Avyaktam. But the supreme reality is not confined to these two, it is beyond it all. So it is known, it is unknown, it is unknowable, Achintyam. So it's a very beautiful way of contemplating. That these three words can be taken: Achintyam, Avyaktam and Anantarupam. Then he says Shivam. Shivam means auspicious. It is the most sacred ideal. Shivam is referring to the supreme unmanifest reality. Shiva as a masculine is the entity with form. Shivam is auspicious. That which is really worth achieving. That is the goal of our life. That which is divine. In other words, again, we cannot exactly capture what he is saying as auspicious, etc. From our point of view, you know that it is beyond all the tragedies and disturbances and agitations that we go through in this world. So that which is beyond all that is really auspicious is Shivam. That is why this word Shivam is connected with the next word that is given here always. Shivam is always Prashantam. Prashantam is perfectly tranquil, absolutely without any agitations. Absolute quietude of mind. Again, this tranquil state we can only understand as far as we go through the known disturbances of the mind. You try to quieten it and quieten it and quieten it to the extent that it goes where it absolutely merges with the consciousness. That state of absolute tranquility is called as Prashantam. Shantam means peace. Pra is a prefix which adds emphasis to that. So Prashantam is absolute tranquility. And in that absolute tranquility, what you reach is that state of Brahman. So it actually, from the manifest, it is drawing you into that unmanifest reality. Prashantam. Amritam. Amritam is immortal. Mritam is mortal. Mortal means that which is having an end or death. And we know that it is easily conceivable that anything that has a death has to have a birth. Only when there is a birth, then there is a death. In that same cycle, if there is a death, there will be a birth again. So the cycle continues. Birth and death are constant changes that is happening. With reference to anything in the universe also we can understand this. That you say there is a death of a particular season. Now spring will die and summer will be born is a death and birth. And then summer will die and rainy season will be born is a death and birth. So that which is born has to die. As far as the same cycle is concerned with reference to individual, anybody who is born in this particular body, in this particular world, on a particular date and time, one thing is certain that they are going to finish their journey in this particular body. We do not know maybe when and how, where and how. But what is for sure is that there is an end. That which has a beginning has to have an end. So therefore, every entity in this world, all the individuals in the world, not only that, all the forms and names in the world also are mortal because they have an end. See, we may say that this Himalayas seems to be there forever, or the ocean seems to be there for sun is there forever. All that is correct, but from our standpoint, because we cannot conceive of the age of the sun, we cannot conceive of the age of Himalayas or Ganga or the ocean. But if you take from totality point of view, they also have a date of creation where they are existing in this form, and in this form they will perish. What happens after that? They may change form. It may something else may happen. But this is mortality as far as these entities are also concerned. That which is beyond the state of mortality and immortality has to be absolutely changeless. The changeless substratum, which is actually modifying itself modifying and showing itself to be this changing, is that supreme reality. In other words, every wave in the ocean has a birth and has a death. When it comes up, it is a birth. When it goes down and merges, it is a death. So that waves have an individuality. But that ocean In this example, the ocean, which is the substratum of the wave, is actually immortal. But what is interesting is, even as it is in the form of a wave, it still is an ocean only. But the wave may consider itself to be different from the ocean and says, I am a wave, I have an individuality. But in reality, it is always the same Supreme Brahman in continuum. So that Supreme Brahman is actually Amritam or immortal. Brahma Yonim, womb of Lord Brahma. Very interesting terminology that he uses. Womb of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the creator here. Lord Brahma is said to be we picturize him with, even in this Upanishad, he is the Guru, right? We dealt about Lord Brahma in the beginning. Ashvalayana goes to, you don't forget the very beginning of the Upanishad. The Brahma Vidya, he only gives, Lord Brahma. We picturize him with 4 heads and sitting in Brahmaloka and having created him. Through him, the entire creation comes. This is our normal understanding. He is the Lord of creation. From a philosophical point of view, we can understand this as any creation that happens is actually preceded by a creative urge, a conception of it or a visualization of it, and then there is an urge to create. Only then the creation happens. So if we are able to conceive this entire universe as a manifestation of the names and forms which have been created, etc., so we can definitely try to conceive of a creative urge that it has to be like this, and that type of a macrocosmic subtle body which precedes this gross manifestation can be picturized as Hiranyagarbha or Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, you can take it as a totality of the entire subtle body. That is why he is called as Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg or the golden womb, as it were, from where everything manifests through. We see that even a normal creation, like a creation of a pot in the world, it requires a conception of a pot by somebody who is intelligent, who is able to think about that, and then he has the skill to do it. And when that urge to create happens, whatever is his mental image, it comes out as the physical object. Anything for that matter. A building that is constructed is actually first constructed by a person in his mind. Then it comes out as a building. A book that is written is actually first conceived in the mind. Then it comes out as an actual creation of the book. So every creation has this creative urge which is in the subtle form, which then further manifests through action in the gross form. So if you are able to conceive of this as the gross manifest universe, the totality of the subtle body which is all there can be equated to that Lord Brahma, from whom this all comes through, conceivable. But think about this, that creative urge and actually doing it has to actually come from somebody, isn't it? Suppose if a pot you are creating, you know that it has a mind which is conceiving and doing the pot, but that mind has to be owned by somebody. Now in this case of this totality of the universe, again, that's why to understand it from individual point of view is easy, but to project it to macro is the most difficult thing. But try to project it. If that has come about like this, that which is beautifully set up like this and the entire universe is created like this, this has to be sort of conceived and produced from a particular source. We do not know what that source is. That particular source, he says, is Brahma Yonim. Brahma Yonim means from where the womb from where the Brahma himself has emerged from where the urge itself has come from. So, from the point of view of individual, when you say these thoughts have come and the thoughts have manifest and they further go into action, etc. and creation, in the night the thought goes into a dream state and further it goes into the deep sleep state. So, there is some place, somewhere, where all the thoughts are finally withdrawn. And then next morning the same thoughts are coming out. Where is that entity towards the thoughts are? You can't say the thoughts are destroyed, because next day from where you left the same thoughts are continuing. Some work you stop today, next day morning you continue with the same thought. So you cannot say that those thoughts are destroyed. It is absolutely continuously coming, but in between there was a cutoff. In between you are not able to experience these thoughts. So where is it that the thoughts went? Where did it come from? We really do not know. So that is where some yoni, somewhere, some womb, where it goes and comes out in the manifestation. At least we can understand it from individual point of view. If you are able to conceive it and project it from macrocosmic point of view, that is called as Brahma Yonim. So that which is the uncaused cause, that which is the creator of the creator, like this it is indicated. Amritam Brahma Yonim, that which houses everything, that which is the abode of everything. Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam, that which is without a beginning, middle and end. We can take it with reference to time and space, but more so with reference to time, because one pointer later it says Vibhum also, which is with reference to space. So, beginning, middle and end is with reference to something started at some point of time and then some point it ended. Only then there can be something called as middle. Now that which is beyond time, that which is beyond space, how can there be any starting or ending or middle? Same thing Arjuna describes the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, that I see you without a beginning or a middle or end. That is why it's Vishwarupa. Suppose I see you from 1000 kilometers, that you are expanding means 500 kilometers will be the sort of the exact middle point that we can point out. But you cannot point out anything like that. That is with reference to even the space. With reference to time, time itself is a manifestation. Time, space and causation are manifestation. The unmanifest reality which is beyond time has no real beginning or an end. Therefore, there is no middle also. This is Ekam. Ekam means one. One means there is nothing other than reality. That is why wherever one is given, usually another term is jointly given, which is not in this mantra, is Advayam. Because one gives a picture as though it's very big and it has a boundary, but it's not a thing with a boundary at all. It is that which has no second. See, that is why we have to be very careful, as I said, in understanding these words of not our culture, but monotheism, polytheism, etc., with reference to what they say as one God or many gods. This is not in that sense. What Christianity talks about one God or many gods is something else. Therefore, we need not try to fit in Vedanta or Hinduism into their parameters. That's, as we said, if at all any word you want to use, the closest you can use is not polytheistic, not monotheistic, but polymorphic. They say polymorphic means one becoming many. But again, this has a limitation that one becoming many does not mean that the one has ceases to exist. One exists as it is in many forms. That is called as, so it cannot be really captured by any word. So it is that one. Even when Swami Ramtirtha says, if you want to interpret La ilaha illallah only from this Vedantic point of view, if you interpret, it holds good. If somebody says there is no other God other than Allah, that means Allah is the true God, all others are false gods. If somebody interprets like this, it is a very shallow interpretation, because you are actually demeaning Allah. That means there is somebody other than Allah also. That itself is wrong. That means you actually limit Allah. You actually make Allah finite, which how can, if you say infinite God, if it is made finite, it is not really respecting God in that sense. So La ilaha illallah, he says, can be interpreted in only way that everything is Allah. There is nothing other than Allah. Then it makes sense. But that is not the way many, or rather most of the world or everybody has understood. And this is how various other problems are created from the scriptures. But if you want to make sense out of it, you have to interpret it from Vedantic point of view only. And that is this Ekam. There is nothing apart from Brahman that exists, that alone. So these are various statements given in Vedas and Upanishads. Sa Ekaha, he alone is there, etc. He is Advitiyam, he is Advayam. There is no second entity at all. This is a beautiful pointer, and this Ekam, when we translate as one, etc. in English, it doesn't give that same feeling. Ekam is Ekam. That's all it is. Vibhum. Vibhum is a glorious manifestation, meaning from the point of view of pervasiveness, whatever pervades anywhere in this universe, it is His glory only. So that which is one, which is unmanifest, has gone everywhere as it were. It is all pervading entity. There is no place where His glory is not there. So that is called as Vibhum, absolute manifestation. Absolutely, it is called as, in absolute sense, it is called as Vibhum. And then one of the most famous pointers are the Swarupa, which is Chidananda. Usually we use even Satchidananda. Chidananda. Chit refers to consciousness. Anandam refers to bliss. All the consciousness that we go through are conditioned consciousness. Our conditioned consciousness is conditioned by our thoughts. We cannot conceive of what that pure consciousness is. Pure consciousness is absolute consciousness without any conditioning, meaning there is no trace of any thought in it. In other words, in physical example, it is like a pure light, which we do not know, which we cannot see. We can only see light when it is reflected on something. So light between you and me is there, but we cannot see light. We see light on this shelf here, or the light on the table here, like that it is. So light reflected on object is what we know, what we can see. But we can definitely at least know that there is something called pure light from science point of view. So if you are able to remove the object and if you are able to visualize that, that is called as pure light. Exactly like that, if you are able to remove all thoughts and if you are able to visualize that, that is called pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is the fourth state as it is indicated in the scriptures. The three states that we go through on a daily basis, which is waking, dream and deep sleep, are conditioned consciousness. Conditioned by gross body, you are a waker. Conditioned by subtle body, you are a dreamer. Conditioned by causal body, we are a deep sleeper. But unconditioned pure consciousness is the fourth state. So pure consciousness is the original state. And Ananda, again, it is no experience that can be equated to any bliss that we go through in this world, because all that we go through is Sukha and Dukkha. Sukha has a beginning and an end. Dukkha has a beginning and an end. The cycle goes on. Ananda, which has no opposite, is the infinite bliss. The infinite bliss is that which we experience where there is, the closest that we can think of is what we go through in deep sleep. We go through that, in fact, but we are not aware of it during sleep. We get up and say it was a very great sleep. It was a great thing that I went through. Even if you have pain in the body, even if you are having a lot of problems in the mind, when you go into the deep sleep, there's no problem. There's no pain. That is a state where all the pains are absolutely dissolved. Even here, we understand it from the point of view of absence of our pain. But there is something that we go through, which we cannot exactly recall, but we know that we went through something like that in deep sleep. Imagine if you are able to constantly be in that and aware of it, that is called as Ananda. That is Chidananda. So that is why with reference to the fifth kosha, it is called as Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha with reference to individual is the phase of deep sleep where you are actually in that phase, but we do not know that we are in that phase at that point of time. Chidananda. And then Arupam, which we covered, that which is formless, which is again Anantarupam, upon which every form is superimposed. And finally, Adbhutam. Adbhutam is wonder. Wonder is something which is beyond intellect. That which you cannot understand. So that is why Gita says, you have to finally leave it at as Ashcharya. Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschitenam. Some people see it as wonder. Some people hear it as wonder. Some people speak about it as wonder, but nobody can understand this wonder. If you have understood, it's not wonder. See, from a point of view of a normal person, nuclear science or a rocket science is a wonder. How rocket goes suddenly upwards is a wonder. But for a person who knows that science, a scientist, it is not a wonder. He has made the calculations and he knows exactly how it functions. This is a relative example. Now think about it, that everything in this world functions so meticulously as though coordinated by something. It is a great wonder. Think about these planets and moon, earth and sun only you take. These three are functioning in great coordination for us to survive here, right? Few kilometers apart or closer, we can be either burnt or we can be either frozen. But beauty is all these are constantly moving in great force. When they are moving, it is able to maintain the same distance and force, etc., to make our life livable here. It's a great wonder. It's a great phenomenon. It is just that we don't have really time to think about all these things. We only say sun is very hot in summer and it is very cold in winter. We only complain about it. But each and every aspect of it, if you look at it, you have to have this wow, this type of a feeling. So each and every aspect of the universe itself, when it is functioning in this way, it is beyond our intellect. That is called as Adbhutam. And it is better to leave it at Adbhutam only, because if you try to capture it again, you are, of course it is not possible, but you are really not going with wanting to merge with it. Forget about even self, even with reference to nature. So many wonderful secrets are there hidden with it. You try to master nature and you say that I will do everything, I'll generate, modify the seed, I'll do this, etc. It's just not possible. But the moment you try to merge with it, it reveals her secrets more and more. That is the beauty. That is the greatness. So all this is coming from the source, which is the self, which is called as Adbhutam. Inconceivable, unmanifest, of infinite forms, auspicious, perfectly calm, immortal, womb of Brahma, creator, also without beginning, middle and end, one, all-pervading, knowledge-bliss, formless, wonderful. We'll conclude with the bhajans here.
Govinda Madhava
पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते